All right, everybody. I'm Tom Vassell, and you're watching the Dice Tower Live. We're certainly glad that you're here today. We are, it's the middle of the week, and that's because just this week we went up to Cool Stuff in Maitland, and we had to sort out some things. The good news is you'll see a lot of the promos, leftover promos from the Kickstarter will be showing up in the Cool Stuff store, and we're going to be starting to do our promos through their store. That way it makes everything a lot easier for us, and I think it'll make things easier for everybody. And hey, you can add one to one of your orders that you're getting from them. So that was handled. And so I thought we'd be back yesterday in time, but just things went long because part of it was my fault because I wanted to go see the new hotel for the Dice Tower convention. And man, that thing is just really nice. There are 2 giant ballrooms in it. I mean, very big ballrooms that are in this hotel. Next year, we will have one of those ballrooms, and in the future, moving to another one. But these things are huge, and it's really exciting to see just the possibilities. And it's beautiful. The hotel is just amazing. It's a really cool thing. So anyhow, so that's what made me not be able to do the live streaming yesterday, and so I'll be doing it now. Let's see, anything else that's going on? I got a whole pile of reviews. Just recorded a couple right before I did this. Just finished up a review of Melee from Indie Boards and Cards. As soon as I'm done with this, I'll be moving on to Dragon Farkle, Artifacts Incorporated, and other games that will be coming up. Got some more games played, some more stuff. I'm finding that right now. I was saying to somebody yesterday, I said, man, I feel like the games from Gencon are like 50% good, 50% bad. And then they mentioned that we had played the best games before Gencon. We had already played Blood Rage and Champions of Midgard and Code Names and things like that. So, yes, the Gencon is still skewing upward. So that's that. I'll get to some questions in just a moment. I do know that tomorrow we're going to record and post our top 10 favorite combat mechanisms, ways to fight in games, whether it's rolling dice or using cards or different things like that. Eric Summer, I did not post one of his top 100s last week. Shame on me. So we'll be posting 2 of those this week. Also this week, I'm going to be starting to record the top 100 with Jason. And, well, this should be interesting. I don't know if it'll come up this week or next week, but we took a lot of footage at the Cool Stuff warehouse. And so we're going to put some of that online, and hopefully you guys will find that to be fascinating. Okay, so let's go through the questions. Here we go. Favorite historic movie? Oh, man, that's like a huge, I wouldn't even know. I'm trying to think, because there's a lot of movies I really like, but their historical accuracy isn't so good. Maybe Gettysburg. That's pretty good. It's a pretty good movie. I'm going to go with Gettysburg now, but maybe there's another one that I will find. I would actually, I really, really like it's technically a movie in my opinion, the John Adams miniseries that HBO did. That was just really fascinating. I love the Constitutional Convention and all that stuff, and that was pretty neat. Tom, what are some big plans for the upcoming year? Well, we're in the middle of the year. I will say, though, that one of the things I'm working on right now, we're looking at, there's a couple of things like, well, how can we make the Dice Tower better? So one of the things is, how can we make streaming better, right? That's certainly something we want to do more of and something we want to work on, and so I'm actually working on that. Dice Tower Cruise possibilities, the Dice Tower audio in general, right? Maybe not from Eric's end, but from my end and different things. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. Did you see our KDA Quests in Inferno? I did. Any info when it's coming? I don't know. Initial impressions, it looks pretty cool, but I won't go much more than that. They explained a couple of the concepts to me, but I spent most of my time just looking at the new miniatures. So that I didn't have a lot of time to talk to them, but it looks interesting. A Dream expansion for Legendary. I assume you mean Legendary Marvel. I'd like to see an X Factor expansion for that. Kings of New York Power-Up expansion. That's on its way. That was an announcement. Look for that. Favorite costumes I saw at Gen Con. Well, I saw Sandcrawler. That was pretty neat. I saw a Sauron, which was amazing. I think he's the one who won the contest. That was just a very impressive outfit. What else did I see that was pretty cool? I mean, I saw lots of great costumes. We saw a Kingpin. That was pretty fun. Have I played WWE Showdown yet? I have not. And guys, that's probably the last I'm going to answer questions like that, just mostly because we are playing games as fast as we can. I know there's games you guys want me to get played and reviewed, and I'm working on it. I'm looking at a whole pile here. I'm reviewing 13 games this week. I have 20 that are ready to be reviewed. I have a pile I'm looking at over there that's ready to be played. We're going to be delving into the Ashes and all these, many of these hot games. So we'll be working on that. I saw a picture of Brazilian Steakhouse in your Gen Con review. Have you ever been to one? I've been to one many times. If my wife and I want to splurge and go out to eat at Brazilian Steakhouse, there are many good ones, especially down here in Miami. The one that we went up to there in Indianapolis, Fogo de Chao, was an excellent one. Let's see here. Can I recommend a 3-player game with a traitor? Yeah, One Night Ultimate Werewolf. Have you ever played the old game Stop Thief from the 80s? I have. Could that be done today? It's possible, but it's been a long time since I played that. When you first started doing the podcast, was it more for fun, or did you know that one day you'd make a career out of it? I did not know I'd make a career out of it, and I would imagine that most people who have made careers out of things didn't go into them making careers, and I think it's a big mistake to go into it trying to make a career out of it, because I think you go into it for the wrong reasons, in a sense. Yes, this is my career now, and who knows where we'll be in a couple years, but for now, and it's exciting and it's fun, but it was fun, right? We did it because it was fun, and it's still fun, and we still have a great time. And, I was thinking about this when I went into the Cool Stuff warehouse, and I walked by and looked at those stacks of games everywhere, and I didn't get any, okay? I walked in, I could have taken any game I wanted and taken it out. I did not. And I was like, yeah, I'm getting better at this. I don't need any of these games. I got games to review, right? But despite that, I'm still sitting there going, oh, that's so cool. That's so neat. This is such a cool thing. This is such a great hobby. And I think that sense of wonder needs to be there at the beginning before it becomes a career. If it ever does. Because if it doesn't, you're not disappointed, right? Who's my favorite U.S. president? Wow, there's no way to answer that without some kind of political thing drawn from it. So I won't answer that. I probably have a top 10 list of presidents, though. I have top 10 lists of everything. Let's see here. Is my personal board game collection posted anywhere for viewing? It is. You can see it at Board Game Geek. You can just look at my collection there, and that will show you all the games that I have in my collection. I think it's up to date. This week, am I adding any new ones to my collection from this pile? I'm adding one, but I already have it. It's a new version of it. And I'm adding that one too, but that's kind of a spin-off of another game, so I'll just package them together. And then the other ones that I've played, I will be adding one of those, but again, it's a new version of an older game. And that's basically it.
Bye, Daddy.
All right, bye. Shut the door. So anyhow, let's see here. Do you play any Hearthstone? I've kind of fallen out of playing Hearthstone. I was playing it crazy for a while, but I just haven't played it very much. The biggest thing about Hearthstone is that the times I would play it the most, like when I'm traveling on an airplane, you can't. I wish you could play it offline, but you can't. I really would play it a lot on airplanes otherwise. Let's see here. Blah, 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 blah. Do you think in the future you might ever go to the Secret Cabal meetup at Gencon, or is that too much not your scene? It's just very much not my scene at all, folks. I'm not a big fan of drunken parties, per se, at all. I never go to them, really. I've gone to parties at Gencon, but I always feel I'm just not a big fan of that scene. I want to go to this place that's fun. The family-friendly thing that I impose on the Dice Tower is actually kind of where I want my life to be. So things like that just aren't interested in me. That's fine that people go to them and have a good time at them, but it's just definitely not for me. That's all. I'll hang out with the Secret Cabal guys. That's no problem. Just their meetups are just not. I went through the one at Origins and it was just like, this is not for me. Any new cool co-ops at Gencon? Yeah, there's a new one from Z-Man. I haven't played it yet, though. I forget the name of it even. But it's like a post-apocalyptic type of co-op. It looked cool. The people who told me they played it said it was fun. Are you keeping up with the Blue Jays? No, I no longer keep up with baseball. The steroid thing really just ruined it for me. Will it be possible to buy the small nothing personal expansions outside of conventions? I don't know about the movie pack or the game designer pack. That's up to Game Salute, but the Dice Tower one you will be able to get next week. We'll have them online for you. Are the planned monster packs for King of Tokyo or King of New York or both? I think they're for both, but I'm not sure. When I talked to Yellow, I know I asked that question, but for life of me, I can't remember what the exact answer was. As a connoisseur of soft drinks, I am not a connoisseur of soft drinks. I'm trying to drink fewer of them. I drink most of the time either water or things like vitamin water or sorbet water or whatever. But I do drink soft drinks occasionally. I just don't drink them all the time. Let's see here. Do you think with the new Mad Max they will reprint Thunder Road or something like it? I would love if someone got a hold of that license and made a game about it, right? It doesn't have to be Thunder Road. It could be any game in that style. But that'd be really fun. That'd be a super fun game to play. How many of your games have wooden inserts? I don't know, like 5, maybe? The insert thing is, and I was talking to someone the other day, someone said, hey, what inserts do you want? Tell me what games you want inserts for. And I thought, I just don't care that much about inserts. I think they're cool, and if I get them, they're great. But as long as the pieces can be organized in the box, many times in bags and such, I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, I don't really care how the game is stored. I'm more excited about when I take the game out and put it on the table. So I'll probably over time you'll see inserts show up in all these games because the different insert companies send them to me, and the foam core cut ones and the plastic ones, and I'll probably fill these up with inserts at some point. But I don't go out of my way looking for inserts. Just not that interested. I'm more interested in like the inserts where it's like you can take boxed out, put them on the table. That's cool because that's use in game. All right. Who would I root for in a fight between RoboCop and Terminator? Probably RoboCop. He's a good guy. Terminator's a bad guy. Tom, let's see here. Do you know any games that involve drafting and trick-taking in the same game? Ooh, that's a good question. I know there's one, but I do not remember what it is. Let's see here. With Big Trouble in Little China Legendary coming next year, do you think we might see an Escape from LA or New York or maybe The Thing? I think we'd see The Thing first. I think you'd have to look and say, what licenses does Upper Deck own? And then just go from there. I don't know. It's possible. Let's see here. Can you explain what trick-taking is? And give an example of popular games. Well, for those who don't know what trick-taking is essentially a card game where you have a handful of cards. And each trick is what they call them. One person will have the lead. That person plays first. They play a card from their hand. And each game has different rules as to what card you can play. When you play a card, each other player will also play a card. And then one player will have played the winning card. That person wins the trick. In many trick-taking games, there's suits. Think of a regular deck of cards. And so often when I play a card, let's say I play the 6 of clubs, everyone else must also play clubs unless they don't have clubs, in which case they play something different. Sometimes a trick take, and then usually the highest number wins the trick. But trick-taking games change that. Sometimes you have to play a different card than the person who led. Sometimes the lowest number wins. Sometimes there could be a tie, and there's all sorts of things that can be involved in trick-taking games. Sometimes there's what we call a trump suit, where one suit in the game is stronger than the rest of the suits. Examples of trick-taking games, the big ones would be Hearts and Spades. And there's many, many, many different trick-taking games. The most recent one is Diamonds from Stronghold Games. They're very fun games many times, but there's all different sorts of them. If you look for board game terms explained, I show trick-taking as one of the terms in that. Do we play tabletop war games? We do not, really. I know Sam is building and putting together the new Age of Sigmar, and we'll probably try it out at least, but we don't play tabletop war games, so just don't have the time for them. Apocalypse Chaos. Yes, that's a co-op game that came out at Gencon that we will be playing soon, hopefully. Tom, first day at S in 2015. Will you run for Time Stories, Pandemic Legacy, or 504? Well, I'm hoping that I won't have to run for any of those. But I think which one will sell out fast? Pandemic Legacy, I think, will dwarf any other game at the convention at this point in time. And I don't know because things will change. But I'm just guessing, just from buzz and things, Pandemic Legacy will be the hottest game at Essen. I can't even think of a close second, but I think second place will be Seven Wonders Duel, actually. Now, I think 504 will have a hot buzz behind it. I think Time Stories will have a hot buzz. I think the expansion for Cold Express, if only because it won the Spiel des Jahres, will have some hot buzz behind it. People will still run for the Japanese game booth to get whatever games are there, of course. There will be some other games there. I haven't gone through every game on the Essen list, but I feel like that's where it's going to be at this point in time. Why were you so hard on yourself about the Gen Con live show? It was great. You all killed your songs, especially Sam. Well, thank you for those lies, except that Sam really did do a good job. I was just very disappointed in my own performance, particularly because I had practiced for months trying to memorize the song so that I didn't have to look at the words. And then when I got there, my mind went blank. My voice was out. I couldn't hear the music, which was a terrible combination. So I really came off like I couldn't sing. And I don't think I'm a great singer at all, but I can carry a tune. I was just very disappointed in that. The show itself, I thought that it was too disjointed, too many little pieces. And when I watched it, when I put up the video, I thought, oh, it's not as bad as I thought. But when I was up there running it, I was just constantly thinking time. I already have a very basic plan for next year's Gen Con. I feel pretty confident. We're going to make some sweeping changes. It'll be a very different show, although you'll probably still see some singing. Although not from Jason. He has told me he's retiring now, which is good. Actually, or I might have told him he's retiring. One of those two. What's your favorite vitamin water? Oh, that's easy. Blood Orange. Blood Orange. I really like that one. What can we expect from TMNT Dice Masters? I don't know. Once I find out, I'll tell you guys. So I'm still waiting for the War of Light stuff. Do you think they will reprint Pillars of the Earth? That's an interesting one. I'm still, there's been some debate online about the vassal law that I just talked about in my podcast, where any game that is good and deserves to be reprinted will be. Pillars of the Earth is really kind of teetering there. I think it's a great game. Did they saturate the market? I think so. Mayfair probably still has the rights to that, or Cosmos probably still has the rights to that. I wouldn't be surprised if we might see that one come back. Cosmos just brought back Crossmaster for crying out. I'm not Crossmaster. Crossmaster. Barbarossa. They call it Dodals. And so they might bring back Pillars of the Earth. That'd be pretty neat. The problem is the Pillars of the Earth license isn't as strong as it was when the game came out, right? Because they sold some games. Maybe they'll take that same thing and just call it a different name. Who knows? But it is a pretty good game, so I would be surprised if it was not reprinted in, let's say, the next 6 years. Somewhere in there, I'd say it will be reprinted. Have I seen the new Fantastic Four? I have not. I do not plan to watch it ever unless it's on Netflix and I'm bored. I go to watch comic movies to have fun, It did not look fun at all from the trailers, and every single review that I've read or personal things from people who have seen the movie has completely confirmed that. Do you think that you'll have a songwriting contest for next year so you have a year to write, revise, and hone our song submissions? No, that's interesting. Maybe I don't know if I'll give people a year, but I'll give you much longer. What do you do with a game like Legendary when there are so many expansions that you can't fit all the cards in any one of the boxes? Then I put it in 2. As you can see, Legendary is right here behind me. Is it on screen? Yeah, it's on screen. It's behind me. So I have the Legendary here in the box and in the Villains box. It's now too big for just those 2 boxes. I don't know how I'm going to fit the Secret War stuff into it. So I'm going to actually take everything out of the sleeves, and then I'll be able to fit it all in. I'm tired of sleeving those cards anyway. Do you think WizKids will expand on Dungeons & Dragons Dice Masters? I would be very surprised if they did not. How's that? How close was Z to stealing Pandemic Legacy? Well, not close. And we weren't seriously considering it. We were just imagining scenarios in which we could do so. Big IPs like D&D and Warhammer don't seem to affect BGG ratings much, but I find them much easier to get to the table, says Trick. Have you noticed people wanting to play games more just because of brand names? Certainly. Last night at my game group, I brought Munchkin Smash Up, and there were many folks there who were like, "Ooh, what is this?" because it had the name Munchkin on it. I was like, yeah, it's a Smash Up game. It's not Munchkin, it's Smash Up with a Munchkin theme. And I like that. I like being able to pull people in. Let's see here. Have I got the Twin Suns expansion for Imperial Assault? If so, what do you think? I don't know what to think. I just looked it over. I will have to say I defend Fantasy Flight in many things, but I do feel it's kind of cheesy to have a big picture of Boba Fett in the cover and not have a plastic figure of Boba Fett in the box. That just seemed kind of But it does look fun. Let's see here. VR tech mixed with board games? I don't know. I don't think so. Especially if they look like that time cover, huh? Are there game reviews from Gen Con being uploaded soon? Says Daniel, who obviously did not watch the beginning. Yes, they're coming. Not to mention, really, we reviewed a lot of the stuff from Gen Con before Gen Con. We were ahead of the curve. Listing of games in my collection that have been there for the longest time. I don't know. That would be a lot of work for me to put that together. I don't know what games have been in my collection for the longest time. I wouldn't know, actually. I mean, you could just take my collection and sort it by date, but that wouldn't be the longest time they've been in my collection. But it's interesting. Any tips on storing smaller card games? Yeah, on my shelves. I use these. These are drawers. Someone gave me these yellow ones at Gen Con, which is fantastic. And I just put a whole bunch of card games in those. They fit on the shelf neat. If I'm in the mood for a small card game, I open one of my drawers and pull it out. What happened to Gaming Potpourri? I asked Z to join my show. We absorbed it. It became the top 10. It turned into Board Game Blender, Board Game Breakfast. It was just kind of I was like, I think this guy Z would be good. Let's find a way to get him on the show. And then I ended up hiring him. Let's see here. Did you hear any buzz about Scythe at Gen Con? I did not. I mean, I might have heard some people talking about it in the background. I wasn't actually sure. I was invited to an event to go see it. I just didn't have time to make that particular event because there's a lot of stuff that goes on at Gen Con. And all the companies schedule their events at the same time. And then when I went walking around Gen Con to find things, I never did find Stonemaier Games, which I thought was unfortunate. But I really wish they had a booth like the other companies. But I guess they have their Kickstarter audience, and those people know how to find them. So they don't need the booth. But it just meant that I didn't find them either. I I recently played Forbidden Island with a bunch of non-gamer friends. They played it and absolutely love it. Do you think the next step should be Forbidden Desert or Pandemic? Definitely Forbidden Desert. If you could travel in time, would you rather visit the past or the future? Well, probably the future. That way I could get a hold of that sports almanac. But the past would be cool too. Although, I was thinking about this today. I was watching an old-time movie and thinking, man, I'd love to go back to the 20s. But I wouldn't want to use the bathrooms back then. Let's see here. I saw that you guys played The Others from Cool Mini. How good is it? I did not play it, but Jason and Matt and Sam played it. All three of them said that it was unbelievably fantastic. Sam and Matt both thought the theme was incredibly dark, which I'm sure it is. They said, like, Chaos in the Old World dark. But they also said that the game was amazing and will be really widely regaled when it comes out. I would not be surprised. Any plans for a gaming marathon in the future? I was just arguing with Jason last night, saying I don't ever want to do one again. And he's saying we must do one. And so, I don't know. I don't want to do another one of those. I don't really enjoy doing them that much. Let's see here. Gencon was my first con ever, and now I want to check out other conventions. How do Origins and Dice Tower Con compare? There's really no convention that compares to Gencon. It's just so huge and big. Maybe Essen, but even then, they're very different. It depends what you want from a convention. Do you want to play games? Then go to a smaller game-playing convention like Geekway to the west, or BGG Con, or Dice Tower Con. You want to buy stuff and things? Well, then Origins might be a good pick for you. You want to see spectacle? Origins would be a decent pick. It's a much smaller spectacle than Gen Con, but it's there. Let's see here. Many times folks here I say, what's the best of a certain type of game? There's a reason I've made top 10 lists, guys. So you can go check those out. Let's see. Is there anyone in the Dice Tower Network that covers LCGs or CCGs? No. If not, is there a reason? Well, I mean, I think the reason's pretty simple. You need to be kind of an expert at those. And most of the people in the Dice Tower Network, I don't want someone who all they do is play Lord of the Rings LCG, right? How is that helpful to me? I need people who play a vast majority of games. Now, if someone who plays a vast majority of games also plays, Game of Thrones LCG, that's fantastic. They can cover that. But so, like you'll see from me, for example, I do the the Dungeons and Dragons Attack Wing. I follow the Dice Masters line. I follow, Imperial Assault, I guess, but that's still pretty new. And so is Armada. There's only so many lines that you can follow. So that's why, because they're difficult to follow. Let's see. How can you tell whether a game at Gen Con is going to be good or not? And if you can't tell, what's the best way of guessing? Ask other people. If you can't tell after a demo if you like the game or not, I don't know what else I can tell you. Let's see here. What Ascension set works best with Ascension Dawn of Champions? The one that came right before it. I think they made those to work together. Is there any... Let's see here. Is there any theme team you like to see added to Chaos Ball? I don't know. I think Chaos Ball, I'm pretty happy with the 13 teams or however many teams there are for that game. I think there's 17 teams or whatever. That's a lot of teams. That's enough, I think, for Chaos Ball. Sure, I mean, if they added more teams, I guess I'd be excited, but I don't sit around thinking that I would want to play more teams. Champions of Midgard look like a lot of fun. Would you recommend pre-ordering it, or do you think there will be plenty of copies? I think in the long run there will be plenty of copies, but I would recommend pre-ordering it. What's the name of the die from your intros? Chuck. Let's see. I saw in one of your videos, Power Struggle. I don't see a review. Was it good? Power Struggle, Power Struggle, Power Struggle. Why am I blanking on this one? Sorry, guys. For some reason, I'm forgetting what Power Struggle is. Power Struggle is a board game. Board game. Power Struggle. Power Struggle, yes. Yes, the Z-Man game. I don't think I've ever played this one, actually. So I don't know. Or maybe I played an older version of it. Hang on, let me look at that one. Oh, okay, yeah, I did play the old version of Power Struggle, not the new Z-Man one. Boy, it's been a really long time since I played Power Struggle. It was okay. It was a mathy game. It's been a long time. Are you as pumped about the Pennsylvania map for Ticket to Ride as I am? No, I am more pumped because I am a Pennsylvanian. Or I'm a transplanted Pennsylvanian. But I'm looking forward to that. Just saw New Line Cinemas making a movie adaptation of 100 Bullets. Sounds kind of cool. The problem with that is that 100 Bullets is really dark. I don't know if I'd want to watch a movie that dark. Do I drink, smoke, whatever? I do whatever. I don't drink or smoke, but I do whatever. Have I ever tried smoking? No, I've actually... People don't believe me when I tell them this, but I've never smoked once in my life, and I've actually never even had a sip of alcohol. Not once. Neither attracts me at all. Well, sometimes those really cool mixed drinks look good, but you can get those virgins, so I'm good. Smoking has never attracted me, although I did tell Z that if I did smoke, it'd be with a pipe, but I don't. How often do you meet with your game group? We meet every Tuesday at a store called The Rock in Kendall. We had a really good turnout last night. I believe there was 8 games going at one point, which I feel was pretty good. We had like over 30 people, so I think shut up. It's a really good time. And then once a month on Saturdays, we meet at the Cool Stuff in Hollywood, Florida. And for that, we have like 80 plus people show up for those. Really fun times. Let's see here. Lots of different questions. We can call Sam a Marvel fanboy. Nah, I don't think I'd call Sam a Marvel fanboy. I just don't think he's read much else. And yes, obviously he likes Marvel better than DC. Let's see. Any train games that a 5 to 6-year-old could play? That's interesting. You might be able to teach your 5 to 6-year-old Ticket to Ride if you played on a very basic level. Maybe take out the ticket part and just play with the trains. There's probably another one that I'm not thinking of, but train games are usually a higher level than that one. My mustache is back. Where's Amish Tom? He's coming back. You'll see. Let's see here. I'd love to see more live stream games. Do you think you guys might put out more material out in the nature? Yes. Just remember that live streaming games, as much as you like them, are really a lot of work for us to set up and do. And they distract from, doing reviews and things. So I want to do more of them. And more of them are coming. But we also need those time frames between conventions. Now, this week, Z and Sam are going to Texas for a convention. So this week. But next week, there's a good chance you'll see some sort of live game. What's your opinion of John Wayne? He's fine, I guess. Do more people come up to you at Gencon than at Essen? Well, last year Essen had more people come up and say hi to us than Gencon. But Gencon this year beat Essen from last year, so we'll see how Essen this year is. That's a lot of people. We were actually surprised. When we went to Essen, we figured it was the Europeans. Community did not know very much about us. We figured we would have way less people talk to us, but that was not the case. Was there any news on Mission Red Planet at Gen Con? It was there, so I think that's the news. And you will see a review of that next week. Has X, the dice game, reached zombie game levels of overuse? No, I don't think so. I just play them, and I don't care, because that's not a theme. That's a mechanism. Sometimes they're good, and sometimes they're not. Have the Dice ever thought about doing a gameplay video like BGG's Game Night, or even a Twitch stream of a game being played live? Well, we've done something like that. Well, here's the thing about playing games live, and I really, really believe this. I think the game has to be entertaining. And this is something that's boggled my mind about many of the shows that play games live, and that includes Tabletop and BGG's Game Night and other things, is sometimes they pick games that I'm thinking, those are fun games, but they're not at all interesting to watch. And that just befuddles me that even happens. I don't get that. Most games aren't interesting to watch. Now, there are some games that are interesting to watch, but even then you need people who are really into it. And some of the games on Tabletop have been really boring games, but because the people were into it made it more interesting. Like when I heard that they were going to play not a Through the Desert, what's that Vaccarino games, Kingdom Builder. I was like, why would anyone ever want to watch that live? I still don't know why anyone would want to watch that live, but the people made it a little bit more interesting than the game was. So, if we're going to do something and then film it and then put it later, that's possible, but that's a lot of work to put one of those together, which is why Tabletop puts out one of those every other week, and that's with a team of professional editors. So that's why. Let's see. How did you guess that Runebound 3rd Edition would be announced? Well, I like to be very, But the fact is, if you follow the trends and you look at Fantasy Flight, some of the things that they announce aren't that big of a surprise. I didn't think it was going to be called Runebound. I thought it'd be called something else, but being called Runebound is pretty cool. They still surprise me all the time, though. Do you think Dead of Winter will have an expansion? I don't know. Do you know where I can buy tickets to Essen? Well, I think from any airport. Do you mean tickets to Essen Fair? I think you can buy them online, but I don't know where. Yes, if you want information on Essen, it's probably online somewhere. Do I prefer Voyages of Marco Polo or Castles of Burgundy? Voyages of Marco Polo. Any news about Magic the Gathering Arena expansions? Well, I can confirm that they are in the works and that they will be released according to Hasbro. Now, I will believe that when I see that along with the rest of you, but that's what I've heard. Am I caught up on questions? I think I am. Some of you are like, that's because you skipped mine. Well, some of the questions are very specific, right? Like, when you say, can you name a 4-player game that people like this and this play? Those are better questions asked online. And many times, I get questions in the mail where people say, I like this game and this game and this game. And I don't like this game, this game, and this game. And these are games that I'm thinking about getting. Can you tell me which I should get? Well, no, because I'm not your concierge. You need to kind of do a little bit of that digging for yourself because I don't know you personally. Like people in my gaming group, I'll be like, hey, Jason, you're going to like this game. Sam, you're not going to like that. Z, you're going to like it. I can tell who will like it because I know them very well. So you're better off getting more groupthink on these sorts of questions, really. Let's see here. Are Dungeon Fighter and Catacombs too similar to own both? Well, Dungeon Fighter is cooperative. Catacombs, you're playing against another player. They're different. Catacombs is strategic fun. Dungeon Fighter is super silly. I think that's what the difference would be. What is currently the most underrepresented board game genre out there? That is the question that is asked every single time, and the one that you would want to see a game made in is the answer to it. I think that question is asked every single live play, and I got suckered into reading it. What DC character do you really like but didn't make my top 10 comic book characters list? The Riddler, Bullock. You'll notice there's a lot of Batman stuff here. Alfred from DC. Steel. There you go. That's a non-Batman one. I don't read enough of the DC stuff to know. And a lot of my DC knowledge comes from the Justice League cartoon from the 90s, which is amazing. Let's see here. Do you know what happened to Zendo, the reprint of Zendo? I do not know. I'm assuming it's still coming out. How do you feel about buying used games? That's perfectly fine. It's been pretty controversial in the video game industry. Who cares? I think it's fine there too. But seems much more accepted amongst board gamers. That would be idiotic to think anything else. I mean, honestly. Okay, you can argue about the computer one all day long, which does make sense. If I pay you money for something, what do you care who I give that to now? If I make a copy of it and give it to someone else, that's different. There's legal problems with that and such, right? But for a video game, if I buy, like, say, Super Mario and I give it to my friend or sell it to my friend, is that a problem? I don't understand how anyone can have a problem with that. Even more so with board games. In fact, I've never heard this question before, which is kind of mind-boggling. I buy Dragon Farkle and I was like, oh, it's okay. I'm going to sell it to someone else, and I sell it to them. You're like, well, yeah, but the creator didn't get any of that money. Who cares? That's life in general. Anything you buy and then resell, once I buy it, it's mine. That's a really odd question. I'm not saying it's a bad question. I'm not saying the question is bad. Just an odd question. I think buying used games is perfectly fine. Should we throw them away? Is Lost Legends dead in the water? I would say yes. Would you like to see an expansion bring back the dead? I don't know, but I think it is dead in the water. When will I be coming to visit Eric and you in Connecticut? Who knows? Probably not for a while. It's much easier to get Eric to come visit me in Florida. Did you see any fallout from the religious freedom law out at Gencon? 0. Are you excited about the Legends of Tomorrow TV show? I know nothing about this. The Legends of Tomorrow. Let me look that up here. Legends of Tomorrow TV show. Oh, it's DC. Oh, maybe. Maybe that seems like that might be interesting. Wow. Okay, I said that I didn't have a lot of questions, and now I got a whole pile of them. Let's see here. I am thinking about putting Pandemic and TI3 in a string and dragging it past the Dice Tower booth this weekend. Do you think I will catch anything? No, because they already have those games. What you need to do is put like Pandemic Legacy on a string and TI4 on a string, and you'll see Sam and Z jump and grab those. Are they going to print more Chemits when the expansion hits? I would assume yes. Asmodee is really good about that sort of thing. Descent or Imperial Assault? That's a tough one. Wait till you see my top 100 to see which one falls where. John Cena or The Rock? I'll go with The Rock because he's a better actor. Do you think you'll ever get around to Impulse, or is it too old now? No, Impulse is actually on my pile of games to review, right? Yep, it's right over there. Your thoughts on Villains of the Multiverse? I don't know much about it other than the name, so I'll certainly try it out. The top 10 villains from literature, TV, and movies. Well, that'd be an interesting one. I like villains. I mean, I like to see villains lose, of course. I really do. But, wow, there's a lot of cool villains that are out there. You know, off the top of my head, I'd pick the guy from Die Hard 3. He was such a good villain. I really like the new villain from the new Mission Impossible 5. He was a good villain. I like villains who are just... they seem realistic. But I also like over-the-top villains, too. I love the villains from The Last Starfighter. What do we do now? We die. Anyhow, you know one villain that cracks me up is the villain from, what was that huge movie called? The blue people on the other planet. Wow, okay, that just slipped my mind. But the villain from that movie, by the Titanic people and okay, hang on, don't tell me. Avatar. So the villain from Avatar just cracked me up because no matter how much he was like, I'm still coming. I'm out of my suit. I'm still going to try to stab you. He just cracked me up. He was just hilarious. The guy from Mad Max who had a bullet for a tooth, he cracked me up too. All right, let's see. Tom, will Jason ever get to have a lone wolf Q&A? I don't even know what that means, so no. Favorite episode of the Justice League cartoon? Wow, there's a lot of good ones. Probably the finale where Superman took on Darkseid on his planet. That was a really good one. I did like the one where they went back and said, we need more help, and then they had all these other heroes. The one where Blue Beetle, was it Blue Beetle? Or no, Booster Gold? I think it was Booster Gold. Saved the day, saved everything, but then could never tell anybody. That was a good one, too. Let's see here. Will we ever update our top 10 list? Yes, we will. Do you see anything of Europe and Germany when you're at Essen, or do you go to the fair and go right back? I come right back because I want to see my family. And we're already going to be at Essen for a week, so that's a long time to be away from my family. So no time for sightseeing, and that's sad, but maybe someday when my kids are gone, I will do more sightseeing, and I'll add visiting things with my wife on these trips. Do I still prefer Caverna to Agricola? By a mile. By a mile. Love Caverna. And maybe it will seem samey to you after a while, but I'm telling you, it's really, really good. How do you feel about print and play games in regards to piracy? Well, I'm not really sure. Most print and play games are free, so what does that matter? If a print and play game is not free, which I suppose is true, then I guess you shouldn't give the files to somebody else. But if you printed it out and made it and then sold it to someone else, that seems legit. If you're printing out someone else's game, let's say Dragon Farkle, which we keep using as our example today, from Z-Man, and I make my own Dragon Farkle and I sell that I have a problem with. Okay, you can't sell something that I made myself, but that's different. Did you receive a lot of email about the Dice Tower cruise? I did. Who's your favorite hero to play in Sentinels of the Multiverse? Well, that's a good one. I like the janitor guy a lot. Oh, I forget his name. I've been having a hard time figuring out the Eric and Flux in joke. Does he really like it or really hate it? I don't think Eric likes Flux. But Looney Labs one time emailed me and said, did you want to review Flux? And I said, Eric Summer is the official Flux review for the Dice Tower. And so they keep asking me, and I keep telling him the same answer, and he keeps getting all the Flux copies. So he keeps reviewing them. That's all. I find it incredibly amusing. Let's see here. Am I excited about the Punisher on Season 2 of Daredevil? I am, but I need to watch the first season of Daredevil, so I need to get around to that. Have you thought about organizing games in Tabletop Simulator? Unfortunately, no. I have zero interest in playing board games online. I know it's sad, but the whole reason I play board games is to play them face-to-face with other people. Favorite ice cream flavor? Well, normal favorite ice cream flavor is cookies and chocolate cookie dough. Weird one, like the unusual ones. There was a flavor that Baskin-Robbins made for many years called Winter White Chocolate, which was a really good flavor. And Korea has that birthday cake one, which I like, or birthday surprise, or Shooting Stars it's called. That one I like a lot too. But you know what? I usually find myself liking vanilla the best and then adding a plethora of toppings. I do have my top 10 ice cream toppings. Here they are. Okay, number one ice cream topping to put on ice cream is raspberries. Raspberries are really good. You go buy a bag of those frozen raspberries and then you let it thaw and you put that on there, let the raspberry juice cover. That is excellent. Really close behind that is cherry topping, not maraschino cherries, but like the cherries that you scoop out that you put in pie. You put those on top of ice cream. That is fantastic. Number 3 is probably Magic Shell dark chocolate. I like dark chocolate in general. Now, you know what? Let's make that number 4, because number 3 has got to be caramel. All right? Hot caramel, just amazing. Oh, hot caramel. You know what? That's it. That's higher. That's actually number 2. Okay, so anyway, so now we're at 4, which is the Magic Shell chocolate. Then hot fudge. I know hot fudge is most people's number 1, but I do like hot fudge. But and then there was a cherry, a Dr. Pepper topping, which I liked a lot. Then there is butterscotch chips. Those are good. Then there are, I call them nonpareils. What's the actual name that people call them? The snowflakes? The little things you buy at movie theaters, the little chocolate with the little white sprinkles on. Those are great on ice cream as a topping. Then ground up waffle shell. That's also a really good topping. And then ground up Nestle's bars. Was that 10? If it isn't 10, then I will say, man, there's so many good ones. I just did an ice cream thing at my church where they said, we have the ice cream. I said, if you guys do the ice cream, I'll bring in the toppings. And I brought in 40 different toppings that were just all these different great toppings I have. That I go out and I make them and I get them and I put them all together. I have all these little cans. We didn't eat them all, so now we have ice cream toppings at our house, I think, for the next year. There's little caramel chunks you can get too. Those are also good. That was something you guys didn't ask for. Sorry. All right. Simon Gruber, that's right. Yeah, he's a great bad guy. Let's see here. Tom, you need to make a wiki posting because many of these questions get repeated a lot. That's true, folks. I should probably put some of these in because people ask the same questions. And some people here seem to think that if I don't answer the question the first 4 times, if they keep asking it, I will answer it the 5th time. And that is not the case, which they are sadly finding out. So, yes, I mean, some of these would probably have to be good. But then, I don't know. Let's see here. I have not played 12 Realms, unfortunately, about that. Let's see here. G.I. Joe, that's a good theme for a game. How do you store trains with all the map expansions that have come out? Well, unfortunately, trains did not make the cut recently. I love trains a lot, but it did not make the cut. I had to pick between trains and Dominion, and I chose Dominion. I said trains would replace Dominion. If it ever came out with more expansions, they came out with 1, and it was good, and I liked it, and I like trains, but Dominion's faster to set up and has like a billion expansions, so I like that one a little bit better. Doing some board game related prank videos? I don't know. I am actually thinking about doing something involving, actually never mind. But I do have more ideas in mind. Let's see here. Are the metal coins in a Tuscany expansion the only difference between the Prima version and the retail version? I don't know. You'd have to ask them. Let's see here. Can you cover more solo games? No. I can't. Sorry. A Marvel Tower Defense board game? Nah, that sounds like a pasted-on theme to me. What's your opinion on the old Doom board game? I liked it a lot, but unfortunately it had a lot of small things that I didn't even maybe notice that they weren't as good, but once Descent came out, we're like, oh wow, that fixed every problem we didn't even know Doom had. And then Descent 2 came out, I couldn't go back and play Doom again. Sorry. But it was a fun game. I did enjoy playing it there. So, alright, well I think that's all the questions I will answer for today. It is time for me to get back into reviewing games. I should actually review Dragon Farkle instead of using it as an example for all of these. I have many games to play and review. Please be patient with us on that. We can only review a certain number of games a week. We are currently sitting on 170, I think. So we cannot review 170 in 1 week or even in a month. But we will try. I believe this week we are reviewing close to 30 games between us and all the other reviewers. So we're going to try to get to these as quickly as possible. We probably will review the one you really want reviewed. We'll probably review that one last. That's just Murphy's Law. But we will try to get things reviewed. So if you were hoping to see Artifacts, and you'll see that this week. If you were hoping to see Mission Red Planet or Mysterium, those will be next week. So there's different ones coming out at different times. I'm excited. Can't wait to talk about them. And also I review some on the podcast, so you can listen on our Dice Tower podcast too. Okay, well, that's that. It's time to get cranking. So keep an eye on the videos. I put up 8 reviews today from the other guys. You'll see some of my reviews. Miami Dice are 2 tomorrow and a top 10. And you'll see more reviews on Friday and Saturday also. Hey guys, Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. Thanks for watching.